What are those hurdles that you are struggling with? How about your learners? What are their hurdles? We've had a break and it's time to take some leaps. AI powered education is next. Hi, it's so great to be back. We've taken a little bit of a break. We've stepped back and we've had a little time to do actual more reflection, which we really believe is really important because we get so busy in our worlds of education that we don't know when that we need to somewhat step back. So we stepped back and we thought a little bit more about theory. We played a little bit more with some tools, and we're going to put those two together and just kind of get back into the swing of our podcast. And we're just so grateful that you're all here with us and just have a chance to discuss what's going on right now and that slowing things down. And sometimes when you slow down, you ask yourself like, well, what's the struggle, or maybe what's the hurdle that we've been facing? And sometimes it's just giving ourselves some space and time is that hurdle that we need to get past. I don't know, Casey, how about you? What hurdles when it comes to AI, like in theory, or did you get past them? Did you dig into anything over break that deals with theory?
Well, okay, I used my break, I would say 1,000 different ways, which most people usually do. They get spread pretty thin. And I feel like my biggest hurdle was really just getting back to something. So I have all of these options, all of these things I could be doing, but which one do I choose? How do I get into it? And that's so much like AI right now, right? I mean, or has been for the last few years. But it's how do you choose where to begin? And that I feel like for most of our learners is also their biggest hurdle, is knowing how to start, how to begin. And I feel like I'm sort of leaping over that. Look at, here we are. We're chatting again. We're having our conversations and just choosing to say at this time on this day, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to do it. And I was just having a conversation with my students today, and I was talking about the value of, doing the readings that we have for class, and how a lot of times our go-to thing is, I don't have time to read. I don't have time. And most people will probably say, I don't have time for AI. I don't have time for that. And I would say, yeah, you're probably right. If you say you don't have time for it, you're probably not going to make time for it. So instead, maybe change that frame of mind and say, how am I going to make time for reading? How am I going to make time for AI? And so, you and I, we set up our date to sit here and have this conversation. That's me jumping the first hurdle. And then the rest of it, I need to start figuring out what truly are the hurdles, right? What's getting in my way of accomplishing what I need to do. So that's my biggest hurdle, is just getting started. And look at, here we are. I'm super excited. I could probably talk more about those things, but I am curious, is there anything specific that you feel like you've been working on with your students? Maybe as you start a new session with your team, what are you working on that involves AI, or how are you talking about it? How are you getting started in that conversation? I'm curious.
Well, I think at the university level, there's two things going on, and they're both parallel. Is the fact that the staff, the professors, are feeling this need to get involved and get on board or fight it, right? And the other is that the learners, the student teacher candidates, are also feeling left behind. They're not necessarily fighting it. They're more like, I don't know enough. What can I, what are the most important things do I need to know? And I always kind of like go back to make sure that you build that culture at the very beginning of your classroom. And let's talk about what are those components that make sure that all learners are safe. It's all that trust. How will AI be used? What are the ethics behind it? What does it even mean to have ethical classroom, or treating people's material with respect and all that? So it's kind of like, it's still that same thing, but we feel like we're behind, but don't be racing ahead either. Like, we've got the hurdle is like, what's the core? what do you really want again? What are
Mhm.
the what do you want from your learners? What are the goals, successes? How can you make sure everybody's included? What all those might be. Remember those things, pick the best tool, then figure it out, then play catch up. And there are so many tools out there. Like, you and I keep on top of every day. We see all the new tools that are out there, and we get like excited and we try them out, and some are like winners and excitement, and then sometimes they're not. But don't rush ahead. Don't start the race until you are strong in your core of what you believe.
Mhm.
It's all
Mhm.
about. So that's that theory, and just making sure that everybody's voice is being heard at the table, whether you're designing what's going to happen with the guidelines or whatever it might be, of the culture of AI in your classroom or any technology. But don't be
Right.
racing ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's so important, is that you don't think that your pace needs to be at the same pace in which the technology is evolving. I mean, I feel like we have that sort of expectation in education that like you got to meet this and you have to, no, like calm down a little bit with it, and really recognize again what your philosophy is, especially when it comes to technology and AI in your classrooms, and then decide from there where your efforts need to be placed so that you can create the best hurdles for you to get over. Because sometimes that's what we have to do, is like create the hurdles that don't always see that as though somebody else is creating them for you, or like somehow you're not in control of the things that you need to sort of tackle. And yeah, I think,
You've got control of your own classroom. That's what we always
yeah,
say. I mean, we wish we had all the tentacles that went out into the whole system, but the system we can start with our own and move out to change that system. So that's kind of the theory. So if we're slowing down and we're trying to think about which is the best tool, what over the summer or over your break have you thought about, is a tool that maybe you slowed down and said, we're kind of picking one or two and we're digging in. So
yeah.
let's tool or the play part.
Well, I mean, I feel like my biggest tools that I've always talked about are ChatGPT and Brisk for education. So those are two tools that I have been using since I started really with AI in education. And I feel like they're really accessible, really easy to use. And I'm really proud that my district just bought into the pro or premium version of Brisk for educators. So I really had to work on trying to help my staff, the staff at the school, to get used to using Brisk in an everyday setting. And, it's great for creating lessons. That's what I mainly used it for this summer, is to say, here's what I've been doing in my classroom. I am looking for maybe in one class a way to modernize it or to bring it up to date or something more current. And I would use Brisk to help me get there. Or here's an assignment that I've been kicking around and I really want to try to do it, two truths and a lie, but using AI images. How can I do that? And Brisk has helped me figure that out. And so has ChatGPT, by the way. But I really try to take, what am I already doing or what do I want to do? And how can I make these two tools help me get there? And I felt like taking it in small pieces was a lot easier than looking at like, oh my goodness, here are all of these AI tools. Let me start sifting through all them. I just decided like, this is what I'm using. How can I use that to the best of my ability now?
Yeah.
So,
and I think too that one of the things when I slowed down a bit is to think about is that Brisk is really been defined and focused and groomed for educators, very much focused that way. And ChatGPT is just like all over the board. But
right.
ChatGPT gives you full control based on your prompts, your brainstorming, and it really is what it based truly just on you in many respects, getting what you want from it. But Brisk is very much already tailored. You can still, but if you're looking for, I think kind of in a theoretical way and also in a practical way in practice, is that, do you want full control, full design, then ChatGPT is probably your route. If you just want some guidelines and some parameters and some choices and some drop-down menus and some input educationally and standard wise, then Brisk would be a good place to begin.
Yep.
But I just love that slowing down. Let's pick a tool. Let's work on it some more. Right.
Exactly. And I think that's again, a good way to start is it's like, okay, something has to be familiar to me. Otherwise I will get really lost in the details and the bells and whistles, I guess, of what these AI tools can offer us. And sometimes, like you said, you need to pick your avenue. Like, am I looking for something that is like, it's okay if really the response that I get back isn't necessarily what I'm going to use in my classroom, but it's more like a general way of thinking about something. I need to reframe my own ideas. Maybe ChatGPT is the way to go. But as far as the Brisk in the classroom, I really like the changes they made over the summer or over their break or whatever you want to call it. I really think that teachers at any grade level can find value and any subject level for that matter. So I'm going to keep playing around with it. I'm going to hopefully be able to share some ideas in our next show about what I think it can offer to teachers to make it a little bit more accessible and more specific here. But I'll keep playing around with that. And I'm probably going to keep reading. I picked up a book this summer that I'm sure a lot of people have been reading because, Oprah brought it up and a bunch of other folks. So The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. I think it's really incredible because it really has helped me as a technology forward person, an AI enthusiast, to go, okay, but what about the youngest people in our world, and how much are we thinking about what we do in our classrooms, how we teach those youngest people influences their minds in a way that is growth oriented and focused on social interactions and all of the stuff that we know we need to do in our classrooms, but we tend to forget when technology gets involved. And I want to use technology to help create less technology-based assignments for my students. Essentially, that's where I'm going to go.
Well, there you go. That's what we're talking about here. We like to talk about theory. We like to talk about actual practice and play with technology and especially AI. And that's what you're going to get on AI-powered education. So it's great to be back, and we look forward to digging in and having some great conversations. And also remember, you can, on our YouTube channel is our email. So anytime you want to email us with any suggested ideas, it's right there for you. So thank you.
Thank you.